In this episode of NFL Talking Points, we are going over everything that happened in Week 15 as well as previewing every game in Week 16 as well. If you have one 15-minute time period to learn everything you need to know about what's going on in the NFL right now, stay tuned. Welcome back to NFL Talking Points, everyone. I am your host, Joseph Gardner, today going over everything in Week 15 as well as previewing Week 16 as well. Huge games on the line, but let's start with our recap. Last week, Thursday Night Football, Falcons at Buccaneers. The Bucs actually are the only team that should have won that lost last week, but I mean it was a 1 point difference, 29-28. Falcons just had everything going for them on offense. Kirk Cousins made them look good on that side of the ball, and Buccaneers just couldn't keep up. NFC South not looking good at all. Next, we've got the Browns taking on the Bears. 3-31. Absolutely insane. Caleb Williams with one of the best touchdown throws you will ever see. So much talent in that kid. He's just got to put it together, and this team really is built to make a run. Next, we've got the 24-0 game, Ravens over Bengals. Bengals first shutout with Joe Burrow as the starter. Crazy that Joe Burrow gets shut out, but partly on Joe Burrow. He threw a few interceptions. Ravens just looking a lot better from when they played them 2 weeks ago. Don't read too much into this for either team, however. Next, you've got the Cardinals and the Texans. Texans go thwomp the Cardinals at home, so Texans win 40-20. Not much more to say about this besides the fact that the Texans offense is getting it going, and it's the best defense in the league. This is a very scary playoff team. Next, we've got the Jets and the Jaguars. Jaguars end winning at home 48-20. The Jets are just not a very good team. They're a very bad team, actually. And the Jaguars took advantage of it. Trevor Lawrence had one of his better quarterback days that he's had in a while. Kept the ball clean for the most part. And honestly, if Trevor Lawrence can play to his ceiling, this Jaguars team has so much going for them. Good defense, lots of turnovers from the defense as well, and a lot of good pieces on offense that you can build around. Liam Cohen, awesome head coach there. Next, you've got the Chargers and the Chiefs. Came down to a field goal. Chargers win it 16-13. Chiefs are eliminated from the playoffs with this loss. And worse than that, Patrick Mahomes goes down with an ACL injury. He got surgery performed on it, and he will be out the rest of the year as well as the start of next year. Next, you've got the Bills and the Patriots. Bills looking to get revenge on the Patriots from when the Patriots beat them earlier in the year. Patriots were up 21-0 at one point. Bills just got back into it, ended up winning 35-31. Bills come out on top. What a showing by Josh Allen. What a showing by James Cook. And just kind of crazy how fast that happened. But I don't take too much into this game as far as both of these teams go. I mean, I knocked the Patriots down one, but keep the Bills right where they're at in our power rankings because they're both already so high. I think they're both just really good teams. Divisional game, crazy good. So next you've got the Commanders and the Giants. Commanders going to the Meadowlands. They come out with a win, 29-21. Not much more to say on this game. Tankathon is alive and well. Giants currently with the number one pick in the draft. Both of these teams are eliminated from playoff contention, so it doesn't matter. Raiders also posting 0 points for their offense. Eagles 31 beat the Raiders at home. So, I mean, Eagles just taking care of business against the worst team in the league. And 31-0 makes them look a lot better, and their offense did look really good in this game. So hopefully we can get that continued on. Hopefully we'll learn some lessons from this game specifically that we can take into previous weeks if you're an Eagles fan. Next, you've got the Packers and the Broncos. Packers were up by 9 at one point and with the ball, and in the third quarter, they lost Zach Tom, their starting highly paid right tackle, their safety, their number 2 safety outside of Xavier McKinney. They lost Micah Parsons, probably one of the biggest ones, as well as Christian Watson. Micah Parsons injured for the rest of the year with an ACL. He's probably going to be on a similar timeline with Mahomes. And all the other injuries day to day to week, there's just a lot of injuries, huge injuries for this Packers team, and they end up also coming out with a loss 26-34. They play the Bears this week. We'll get to that game later. And the Broncos are just really good. Bo Nix had his best game, I think, of his career in this game, and the Broncos defense is awesome. Next, we'll go to the Lions and the Rams. Lions started hot. Rams were kind of struggling a little bit, had a few miscues, just didn't quite look up to snuff, and then the Rams turned the engine on, and it was over from there. Rams come out with a win at home, 41-34 to beat the Detroit Lions. Lions are a good team, but, man, they are struggling, and this is just, I think, the best team in the league of the Rams. So tough to have that be one of your opponents that you need to face in order to try to get into the playoffs. So next, we've got an upset. Panthers lose to the Saints. Saints 20-17. The Saints, I've been saying all year, are way better than they look. And then as soon as I said, you know what, I kept saying this all year, I've got to drop the Saints down to the bottom of this Tier 4 in power rankings. And as soon as I did that, they are on a winning streak, it seems. I mean, they beat the Panthers and Bucks in back-to-back weeks. And I think this Saints team is really starting to build something. Excited for this team. As far as the Panthers go, I didn't move them at all because division game, weird game, and they beat the Rams just like a week or two ago. So we'll keep the Panthers at a steady pace. We don't really know who they are at this point. Next, you've got the Colts and the Seahawks. The Colts with 42 years old, Phillip Rivers coming to play for the Colts and making it look way more competitive in that game. Seahawks end up winning 18-16, but a close game, and that's all you can really ask for this Colts team at this point. Just keep them in the game, try to let their defense do some work, and see where it goes. The AFC is just really, really competitive in the wild card specifically, and it'll be really tough if the Colts can't pick up another 2 to 3 wins as the rest of the year goes on. So Seahawks, one of the best teams in the league. Defense specifically, it's crazy that the Colts scored 16 points on that defense with Phillip Rivers having gotten there less than a week ago. So, but Seahawks are awesome. Next, you've got the Titans of 49ers. 49ers come out with a win 37-24, higher scoring game than I thought it would be, specifically from the Titans. Titans putting up 34 points on a good Niners defense. Yes, they're missing a lot of pieces on the defense for the 49ers, but the Titans are looking at some progress here, and depending on how they hire their next coaching staff, I think this could really be a really exciting team in the next couple of years if they put it together correctly. Who knows if Tennessee is the people to do that. Next, Sunday Night Football, you've got the Vikings and the Cowboys. Vikings come out with a win with J.J. McCarthy returning to the lineup, 34-26. Man, what is going on with this Vikings team? I swear J.J. McCarthy sucks. He goes on an injury, and he comes back and plays the best game of his career. Then he sucks again. Then he goes on injury. Then he comes back and plays the best game of his career. It seems like that's been what's happened so far. But here we are. And for me, I can't really take too much of this from this game. Both of these teams are technically in the playoff. Oh, actually, Vikings are eliminated. And the Cowboys are a tie out from being eliminated. So, I mean, I don't take too much for either of these teams. So we'll just move on to Monday Night Football, the Dolphins and the Steelers. Steelers haven't lost a Monday Night Football game at home in a few decades. Like, it's been insane, and they kept that streak going, 28-15 to take the Dolphins out of the playoff contention. Tua is now benched largely because of this game. He looked terrible. And the Steelers offense is absolutely just run through Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is doing really good. At his age, where he's at in his career, he's still playing really well. He's not playing like old Aaron Rodgers, like vintage, but he's not playing like old, the fact that Aaron Rodgers is in his 40s vintage, or old, not that type of old. He's kind of right in the middle. He's just a good quarterback, and probably the Dalton line, somewhere in the middle tier of quarterback. He's not going to do anything spectacular, but he'll win you games if you let him. So That is my recap of Week 16, or Week 15. I will now tell you everything you need to know going into Week 16, starting with the Saturday games. We've got 2 games on Saturday, Philadelphia versus Washington and Green Bay versus Chicago. One of these games much more important than the other, but we'll start with Philadelphia and Washington. Philadelphia at 9-5, Washington at 4-10. This should be a huge game for the Eagles. Jaden Daniels is out for this game due to injury, might be out the rest of the year. I would hope that they just let him sit and recover and be good for next year, because when he's on the field, they are a better team, and they are already eliminated from playoff contention. So why are you trying to put your ex-player, your best player in a game that doesn't matter? Keep Jaden Daniels off the field the rest of the year. Philadelphia should win this game. If they don't, that is bad, bad, bad. That's really bad. So next, you've got the Packers and the Bears. Packers 9-4-1, Bears 10-4, half a game up on the Packers. These teams played just 2 weeks ago. And Green Bay played really well on both sides of the ball, but so did Chicago. A very, very good play call that the defense read really well, that was open multiple different times, would have been the difference between Chicago being up by a game and a half versus only up a half of a game. So right now, I'm giving the edge to Chicago because of those injuries that I mentioned in Green Bay. Chicago dealing with their own injuries as well, mostly in the wide receiver core. So, but for me, I've got to pick Chicago. They're at home. They just feel like they want it more than the Packers do at this point. I get that the Packers want to make the playoffs, but man, so disheartening with all the injuries. I think the Bears are going to come out with a win on this in this one. So, next. Let's go to Thursday Night Football, the Rams and the Seahawks. I am recording this after the game, but if I had picked it before, which I did, I picked the Seahawks. This is not a win for me. I mean, I picked the Seahawks. They won. I think the Rams completely outplayed the Seahawks in this game for 3 quarters, and the Seahawks got themselves back into it off of some crazy stuff. I mean, the Seahawks, anyway, going into this game, this was pretty much going to decide the 1 seed in the NFC, as long as whoever wins their next 2 games as well. For the Seahawks, they play the 49ers. They've got somewhat of a patty cake in next week, and then 49ers the week after that. If they can just win those 2 games, they're going to be the 1 seed. And if they lose both, 49ers have a chance to take the 1 seed, which is absolutely insane. So, I don't know what to think of either of these 2 teams, besides the fact that they're just really, really, really good. And they're my number 1 and number 2 in power rankings. So, next, we'll go to Buffalo versus Cleveland. Cleveland hosting. Give me the Bills in this one by a long shot. The Browns' defense is very good, especially Myles Garrett, who is likely to get the sack record this week. But I think Buffalo is just too much has just too much horsepower, and they are fighting for their division with the Patriots. So next, we've got the Chargers and the Cowboys. Give me the Chargers in this one. Cowboys just don't really have much of a pass rush. They're really good on run defense with their interior that they've added to, but they just don't have the pass rush that they need, and that has hurt this Chargers team in their past losses. It's been because of good teams with a good pass rush, and Dallas just doesn't have that. So give me Justin Herbert to carve up this Dallas defense and do just enough on defense themselves to keep Dak out of the end zone with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. So give me the Chargers. Next, we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Carolina Panthers, both teams 7-7, 500. One of these teams will be the front runner for the division, and one of these teams will be sitting with a losing record going into after this game. There's a very, very small chance. I don't even know if it's possible that whoever loses this game even makes the playoffs, even has a chance to. So huge game. Carolina is at home for it, so that could be a decider. I gotta go the Bucs in this one though. They just came off of 2 tough losses, Panthers also coming up off of a tough loss. I just think that Tampa Bay is just a little bit more of a complete team, so give me the Bucs. Next, we've got the Jets and the Saints. This is a tankathon special. The Saints currently have a win up on the Jets, and I would not be surprised if the Saints get another win here and go to 5-10. That would not shock me at all. They're a good team. Not a good team. They're a better team than I think that they have been made out to be throughout the season. So give me the Saints in that one. Not much more to talk about. Next, we've got the Vikings and the Giants. Another tankathon. Giants just trying to lose to keep that 1 seed. Vikings probably don't want to necessarily win, but because you're not in the play, you're eliminated from playoff contention already. But I like the Vikings in this one just because I think they have more to prove, more to play for, and they're just healthier in general. So next we've got the Chiefs and the Titans. Pretty lame with both of these teams now being eliminated from the playoffs and no Patrick Mahomes. Do not be surprised if Tennessee gets a win here, because if you watched the Chiefs throughout the year, it has been Patrick Mahomes and nobody else. This comes down to can Ward play with the big dogs when the big dogs are at half-mast? You know what I'm saying? And I think he can. I think the Titans could absolutely get a win here. I'm not going to pick them, but do not be shocked if the Titans win this game. Next, you've got Cincinnati at Miami. Both teams losing record. Both teams eliminated from playoff contention. But I think that Cincinnati wants it more than the Dolphins do at this point. I mean, watching the Dolphins on Thursday against the Steelers, they knew that they could have won the game and they would have stayed in playoff contention, however slim those odds would have been. They didn't play hard. And the Bengals, I mean, with a few minor or major incidents, lost to the Ravens last week, but I think they could still be a good team. Give me the Bengals. Next, we've got the Falcons and the Cardinals. Give me the Falcons in this one. They just have too much talent, especially on offense. I just don't see a way that the Falcons don't come out with a win in this one. Next, you've got Jacksonville, Denver. Huge playoff implications for this, specifically for seeding at this point. Jacksonville needs to stay ahead of it to keep the Texans at bay. The Texans are, 1 game behind them. And they have a somewhat of a patty cake against the worst team in the league in the Raiders. So Jacksonville needs this win. Denver just trying to hold on to the 1 seed, though. They're only one game up for the 1 seed. They've got the Patriots right behind them. And, the Jaguars at 10 wins, Chargers at 10 wins, Bills at 10 wins, all right behind them. So, I mean, they can't afford to let up the gas if they want all of their games to be held at home field. So should be a really fun one. This all depends on how Trevor Lawrence plays. If he plays nearly as well as he played last week, I think that this Jacksonville team gets the win. Next, you've got Pittsburgh and Detroit. Both teams are 8-8. Both of them trying their hardest to just make it into the playoffs at this point. The Steelers are 1 game ahead of the Ravens, and they play each other in Week 18 in Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh, I mean, the Steelers just got to keep the winning up so that when it gets to Week 18, they might not even have to play in that game to keep the division from the Ravens. So as far as Detroit goes right now, they're on the outside looking in with the Colts at 8-6. And, man, you really got to win out probably. I mean, you're 2 games behind the Packers, or 2.5 games behind the Packers, 2 games behind the 49ers, 3 games behind the Seahawks. Like, there's just the wild card is just so top heavy in the NFC. You've got to win out, and you've got to hope that the Packers are just completely fall off of a cliff. So, yeah, but give me Detroit in that one. They're just too good of a team to not at least get to 9-10 wins. Next, you've got, like I brought up earlier, the Texans and the Raiders. The Texans are at home. I don't have to talk too much about this. Give me the Texans. If the Raiders win this game, I don't know what I would do. So Next, we've got the Patriots and the Ravens Sunday Night Football. Huge game, especially for the Ravens. I get that the Patriots just came off of a loss to the Bills, and they looked really good doing it until they didn't. So until that amazing comeback by the Bills. For me, I'm actually going to pick the Ravens in this one. It's kind of crazy because they didn't play terrible last game. But, they played terrible. They also played elite. They played really well and then played really bad. So, but I think the Ravens just need it that much more. The Patriots are going to make the playoffs, man. Obviously they haven't clinched the playoffs yet, but the Patriots are making the playoffs. So I think the Ravens know that if they lose, there's just one more game that they're behind the Steelers and one more game that they are out to not be able to make the playoffs. So next, we've got the 49ers and the Colts. Last game, Monday Night Football. Colts, I think, could pull off a win here. Phillip Rivers played well last week, and he hadn't even been there for a week. I do think this 49ers team is very good, though. And so I am going to pick the 49ers in this one. But I think it's going to be close. I think it should be something similar to the game last week where low scoring, high defensive moments, and in the end it's going to be George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy who make plays on offense to get the 49ers a win. So that is it for me this week. Thank you all for joining me on NFL Talking Points. I will be back later in the week, hopefully with our Power Rankings podcast. And so you'll be able to enjoy that. And until then, heed the call.